Hello, lovely ones. Today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful things you need to do if you want to make a difference in the world. And it doesn't have to do with getting clear on your strategy, raising your productivity levels, or being more courageous. It's about learning to stop being such an asshole to yourself. I'm Kimberly Carroll. I help those trying to make a bigger difference in the world with the deep inner work, high performance habits, and strategies to make you unstoppable. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and let me know you're visiting for the first time. Okay, my sweet change makers, here's a paradox I see a lot. You have so much love for other beings and for the planet that it inspires you to want to make the world a kinder place. But then in your great drive to make a difference, you end up being totally horrible to yourself. Think I'm exaggerating? Let's do a little quiz. How often do you skip meals or just eat junk food because you're too busy? Do you barely acknowledge your accomplishments but fixate on your failures? Do you keep denying yourself joy because you're not at the perfect weight or have the perfect partner or have it all figured out? Have you ever worked until your bladder feels like it's going to burst because you just want to get that one more thing done? I mean, what kind of tyrant doesn't even let somebody go pee? Oh, and what about how this a-hole talks to you? That was such a stupid thing to say. You're a terrible dad. Why is everybody else much more successful than you? Oh, you look so fat. You wouldn't talk or treat your worst enemy this way. Yet here you are being so ruthless with the person who's trying to do the work in this world that's most important to you. Darling, you can't take on the world if you don't even have your own back. You may not have noticed, but this kind of attitude towards yourself chips away at your confidence and courage and erodes your wellness, all of which you need to be a powerful change maker. Sadly, most of us are trained at a very early age to neglect and beat up on ourselves. In this society, we're taught that we need to be hard on ourselves in order to improve and be successful, which is code for being acceptable enough to not be ejected from the tribe. But this approach is actually so counterintuitive. Being hard on yourself will not make you stronger and better. It will weaken you and eventually break you, at least in some way. Think about it this way. If you had a child, a son or a daughter that you told day in and day out how much they sucked, you ignored their needs and invalidated their feelings, or you never acknowledged their accomplishments, do you think they'd feel encouraged to grow and take flight in life? Of course not. Instead, they'd be in the corner rocking back and forth in the fetal position. Or they turn rebel and start yelling, "Screw you, I'm not going to do anything you want me to." Well, that's what happens when you constantly beat up or neglect yourself. You either get stuck in an energetic fetal position, or you rebel against yourself and end up sabotaging everything that's important to you. On the other hand, okay, check this. Imagine how being a truly loving parent to that hypothetical daughter or son would be. You'd pay attention to their needs and nurture them. When they're in pain, you'd acknowledge that and try to understand and soothe them, and maybe help them reframe and rebuild. You'd encourage them to step into their power and take action, reminding them that you always have their back. You'd be playful and affectionate with them. Sure, if the kid was engaging in behavior that let themselves or others down or were damaging to others, you would call them on it, but from a place of love. You would meet them with understanding that this being is doing the best they can at this moment with what they know and what they have. Instead of shaming them, you'd help them figure out the pain or the fear they have that causes this bad behavior, and then firmly and lovingly support them in taking responsibility and making healthy adjustments. Basically, it would sound something like, "Buddy, you might have done something really bad, but you are not bad. I'm going to love you no matter what. Now tell me what's hurting you, what's causing this. Let's figure this out, and we're going to take responsibility, and we're going to fix this together." And this is the energy and the kind of words you need to bring to yourself every day in some shape or form. You must become the loving parent to yourself. So every time you notice that you're beating up on yourself, you need to stop and ask, would I treat my own child this way? Then tap into that energy of the loving parent in the way you speak to and treat yourself. For me, learning to be sweeter to myself has been such a revolutionary step in my own personal growth. I used to have constant loops going on in my head about why I'm so bloody slow, or how ugly I look, or how lazy I am. Not to say I don't have those thoughts at all anymore, but I have them for like 5 seconds as opposed to 5 months. So for example, the other day I was late for an important appointment, and I got a block away from my house before realizing I'd forgotten the very important papers I needed for this important meeting, and I instantly blurted out, "Kimberly, what is wrong with you?" And as soon as those words were out of my mouth, I caught myself and I went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," and immediately softened and just said, "I'm sorry, sweetie. You didn't deserve that. You've been really preoccupied right now. You've been shouldering a lot. We'll get the papers. We'll deal with what's on the other end. And in the grand scheme of things, it's really no big fucking deal. And after this appointment, we're going to try to slow things down a bit. I got you, sweetie." By the way, this kind of dialogue can actually be spoken out loud, or if you're in the middle of an important business meeting, it can be done completely silently and within a span of 10 seconds. So your assignment for the rest of the day is to try to have the will to stop when you realize you're being kind of shitty to yourself. Try to tune in to that expansive, loving parent within you that can maybe see this vulnerable part of you that's struggling to make its way through. And work with yourself from this place. Maybe that'll involve getting really curious about what's motivating some puzzling behavior, or tenderly bringing your hand to your heart. And again, because you've been brainwashed since a very early age, let me repeat why you need to learn to be loving to yourself. Because understanding and love will always build a stronger self than abuse. And a strong self is the kind that changes the world for the good. Let me know in the comments if you're getting what I'm saying and if you're ready to commit to trying something different. Now go start being kinder to my sweet friend there.